the value.
Wow! That was way too long-winded.
It sounded so much better in my
No,
head.
honey,
Okay,
no.
what did I leave out?
You're nothing! You left everything in!
Welcome back to i2i Reviews, the place where we talk about the things that we're seeing in theaters and streaming-wise that are related to Disney. My name is Kyle.
And my name is Jessica. And before we get started, if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, turning on the notification bell, and liking this video if you enjoy its content.
And as a reminder, this is not our home channel. That is called i2i Kyle and Jessica. We'll put a link for that in the description and up above as well if you want to come check that out. Just some general Disney fun stuff that we do over there.
A little more random.
Very random at times. So this is another review of a Disney film. We went back in time to the good old decades of the 90s, which we are 90s children.
Yes, we are.
Sadly,
Proud
though,
and true.
Sadly, though, we made it out of the 90s without officially watching this all the way through. I'm notorious for watching parts of movies. I've never watched it all the way through. Jessica had never seen it.
Never seen any of the Mighty Ducks.
But we went on to watch the greatest hockey movie of all time, Ice Princess. No, that's a joke from our other channel. You have to come over there to be in the loop on that type of stuff. No, the Mighty Ducks is what we're going to be talking about here today. Now, I know this is a film that's been out for quite some time. Spoiler warning, though, because we want to make sure if you haven't
Maybe some of you are like us. Never seen it.
Exactly. So, spoiler warning. We're going to be talking about the plot in full. Anything is fair game. If you don't want to know about it before you watch it, this is your last chance. Get on out of here. Like a slap shot. I tried to make a hockey reference.
Nope. You are not a hockey player.
I'm not a hockey player whatsoever. So, I want to start out with maybe something fun that I just kind of got an idea for today.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm going to do it this first. I'll be the guinea pig so you don't have to suffer.
Thank goodness.
I'm going to give you the plot in as little sentences as possible. You tell me if I'm like missing anything out of there. So,
okay.
So the plot of the Mighty Ducks is arrogant lawyer, former hockey player Gordon Bombay does community service and ends up serving a youth hockey team to discover not only the troubles within himself, but the troubles with these kids, and they come together to learn the value.
Wow, that was way too long-winded.
It sounded so much better in my head.
Honey,
okay,
no.
What did I leave out?
You're nothing. You left everything in. Drunk, arrogant lawyer leads
kids.
No. This is my turn. Drunk, arrogant lawyer does community service and leads a. Stop! Leads a hogwash of a team.
No. Okay, all right, you butchered that.
I did one sentence.
That's
one sentence.
Anyway, the Mighty Ducks is about hockey. It's about them learning the value of enjoying the sport much more than actually winning. That's actually like one of the actual phrases they use.
Even though they did win.
They did win. First thing I want to talk about, 90s film to the core. Like, of course.
Loved it. Loved the music. Loved the clothing.
I don't even remember the music from it.
You know, especially the music when the limo is driving on the ice.
Don't remember that whatsoever. I'm surprised you remember that. Like, what stuck out to you about that?
It was 90s music. It was like very like techno-ish. Oh. Had a lot of keyboard in it.
Keyboard? Is that a 90s thing?
Yes.
Keyboard things? We see people doing keyboards today. Why is that a 90s?
Do we? But are they doing like the sound machine keyboard? Or are they actually playing the keyboard? There's a difference.
I think when I think of a 90s film, to me, it's a lot of cliche stuff. Like, they were... I will be honest and say, obviously at the time, all the editing and stuff was great, but this was the way the story was framed, plot to finish. There were some things that just didn't fit all the way together.
What do you mean?
Well,
I didn't feel that way.
The whole love story between Gordon Bombay and the mom. It was so shoehorned into there.
Yeah, they should have left that out.
Like, I just felt like they could have done a little bit extra work with that to get that going, or
left it out entirely.
Potentially.
But then I guess the relationship between Charlie and Gordon wouldn't have been there.
It still could have been, because
because then he would have been playing favorites.
But but think about this. Charlie was him in a different era.
Correct. Exactly.
So the connection was there for Gordon outside of the mom. So I just felt like that was unnecessary. I mean, do you remember the scene where they went to the, I guess, some city square with the lights and the Christmas stuff that was out? And then it was like,
it felt very forced.
It was very forced. It felt very not true to themselves, so to speak. So I would have just left that. Like I think you could have hinted there could have been something there. Like the whole thing, like, will you stay for dinner? Like that was fine, but the whole scene there, they could take it out. I didn't mean to start off with a gripe, but that was just like the one thing that I remember.
Yeah.
Like that I did not like.
Okay, well then what was one thing you did like?
I loved the scene in the mall. The roller.
Where they're on the roller skates.
If there's two things about the 90s that you remember.
Okay.
It's going to malls as an adolescent, because it was like the cool things. Like, Mom, when they finally got to go to the mall with your friends and be left alone
and
there.
just with your friends, not with your mom.
There. And then rollerblading, just specifically, was like a big thing too. Not necessarily skateboarding, but rollerblading. That was
rollerblading in the mall.
But then when you combine the two, give me that every day and twice on Sunday. I would have given anything to rollerblading.
That's why I thought you would like that Disney movie Brink, because it's all about rollerblading, and you hate it.
No, but rollerblading through the mall, you're missing the point.
They rollerblade through a school? Anyway.
It's not as cool as rollerblading.
You know what one of my favorite things is about this movie? It's like what is that trope that's like the losers to winners? That's not what I was trying to think of. But you know what I mean? Yeah. Like trash to treasure,
Okay. Trash. Wow. Okay, kids.
But you know what I mean? Like at first they're just this ragtag bunch of humans. They've got all these like weird things. One of my favorite things is when Gordon pulls up on the ice and it's just these kids with these like makeshift uniforms on. And they're like, who are you? Go away. We don't need you.
You don't belong here. Get out of here.
And then he's so mean because he's like, yes, I do. I'm your coach.
Well, I mean, it's a great mirror image. They're both looking at, these kids are a little bit rough, ragtag. Yeah. He's ragtag in another sense. And even though he's like uppity and well-to-do and all that stuff, he's not, at least.
He's down on his luck. He made some poor choices.
Exactly. And so I think it's great mirror images. And then you see them like kind of see that reflected in each other. And they kind of make each other better. They do.
But I liked that also that it spent a lot of the movie with Gordon not getting along with the kids. That it was more than half the movie. Yeah. Where you felt their angst towards him. Like, we don't need you. You're a jerk,
I will say at times that I felt like there should have been a little bit less of that.
No. Like I liked it. That felt very real.
Like it did, but I felt like there should have been a more gradual, except for Charlie. Like Charlie was the only one that was like with him the whole way. Yeah. And then I think it was I forget her name, but the main girl, she was there the entire, and I think Goldberg was there too. Because
I love Goldberg. He's just funny.
That's just the name when you
remember when he got left in the in the net, and he's like, guys!
That's how you get over your fear of getting hit with a hockey puck. Just hold him there, and then
just duct tape him to the goal.
Can I do that to you sometime? Can I just like put you on a goal post and just like do slap shots at you the entire time?
Yeah. Why don't you try that?
Would that be abusive? I don't know. I don't want to do that. Speaking of slap shots, Fulton, he was an interesting character because he was like that kid that nobody really wanted to talk to because he was too big and too tough. And yet he ends up being like the best asset for them overall. I mean, without him, he couldn't.
They would not have won.
He couldn't skate for crap, but he.
I mean, none of them could at the beginning, though.
Some of them were okay, but he definitely could. Like, they even had to teach him.
Yeah.
The figure skater girl had to teach him how to skate. That was interesting too. I didn't realize that they brought a figure skater to be part of the team, but it makes sense. You need like a finesse type of player that can zip in and zip out.
Well, right.
So I think that it was a great message there that, just because you're not the stereotypical type of player doesn't mean you can't be part of a team, because it's not about it's about what happens when the team coalesces together.
Right.
And look at that sports analogy that I'm using right now.
There's no I in team, Kyle.
So that is a great point and something that reminds me that I noticed, and it's not necessarily a gripe.
Okay, here we go.
No. It's a good thing in the sense that, like, I'm glad it was there, but, they really were heavy on this. They used the tropes, as you said, of those sports slogans. Like, I think I wrote some of them down. Yeah. Go for the win.
Oh,
Just win. All about fair play.
But you know what? It was the 90s. isn't that when Gatorade really took off and Nike Just Do It really took off? Like, all of these big, like, sports slogans, like, think about women's soccer, and that's when the U.S. women's soccer team was winning everything.
You can do, I could do better. That
exactly. The NBA was, like, in its prime. Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal.
It makes sense.
Magic Johnson. I mean, you had all these sports figures. So, like, sports logos were, like, ingrained in the 90s. Like, I feel like we've kind of gone away from that right now in times. But the, like, go for the gold, you know, just do it, you got it, you know, all that stuff. So, yeah, I think that was just a caricature of the 90s.
I couldn't take her seriously doing that because, like, I just, like, pictured, like, her trying to be a soccer mom.
Oh, man.
Like, no. She's going to be the intense soccer mom or whatever sport mom because the kid's going to, like, get, like, run over, like, playing football or something. Like, you'll be fine.
Nah. I want to be like the intense chess mom.
The intense chess
mom. Why
mom.
did you take their pawn? I don't know anything about chess.
She's going to be in the back like cheerleading. It's like, use the rook or use the pawn.
Anyway, back to the movie.
Okay. Another small thing. It's not really important to the movie, but I just pointed it, like, stuck out in my head. Danny Timberelli is in this, who is like a child star for Nickelodeon and stuff like that, but he doesn't really have that big of a role in this.
Honestly, if you hadn't told me it was Danny Timberelli, like, it looked like him, but I guess maybe it was younger, his younger years.
You had to
and
know
I was like,
who
is
you were
that
looking for.
him? And then, but yes, it is Danny Timberelli.
Because he's on Pete and Pete. He's in Figure It Out a lot.
Wasn't he in Salute Your Short?
No, he wasn't in Salute Your Shorts, but because of Pete and Pete, he became like a main. He hosted a lot of things sometimes. And I think he had a stint on All That as well.
Yes, that's where I know him from.
That's where it was. So that was nice to see him.
Also, Joshua Jackson. We've talked a lot about Charlie, but Joshua Jackson is Charlie. Well, obviously for normal people, he's in Dawson's Creek, but he's also in a ton of other things. So yeah, it didn't look anything like him to me though.
It's interesting to look at the trajectory of a lot of these actors now.
Yeah,
and see where
that Mighty Ducks was where they started.
Goldberg, I don't have the actor's name in front of me. He never became really big, but I remember him being in like Boy Meets World. He was a boy in Boy Meets World, like. You know, so a lot of these actors went off to different little paths, which is, I know that's kind of obvious to say nobody ever has the same path, but it's just kind of weird to look back at a movie in the 90s and go like, wow, look how like everyone's life is like so different now. I mean, Emilio Estevez, what else did he do? He's only, in my mind, he's only known for the Mighty Ducks.
That's true.
Like, that's the only thing that I can
And now he's back for Mighty Ducks Game Changers.
Game Changers as well.
That's it.
Other cool things in relation to like hockey and National Hockey League. Obviously, this resulted in the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim coming to fruition and Disney helping create them. So that was kind of a cool thing too. But something that I found out, and I pride myself on being a sports fan, even if I'm not a huge hockey fan, never knew that the Minnesota North Stars were a real team.
There you go.
I saw it, I was like, oh, so they made up a team for this because they didn't want to have to pay royalties and all that stuff. And I even looked at the jersey and the logo. I was like, oh, that's such an awful. But it's the 90s, you know? It wasn't
actually real.
Probably, in the second movie came around and they actually had the cool Mighty Ducks logo. Everybody was like, do you remember people wearing those jerseys a lot?
No.
I do. Like, I remember.
But I was a girl, Kyle. I was probably, like, still playing dolls.
As this movie proved, doesn't matter.
No, and it doesn't. But I'm just saying, I wasn't into sports.
Mm-hmm.
When I was 7, when this movie came out, what was I doing at age 7? Probably still playing Barbies. Probably running around with my neighbor. Like, I didn't play sports, didn't care about sports. Wasn't into them until I was like 10 or 11.
What did you think about the coach, Jack Riley? Really intense.
Ew, did not like him.
Yeah, it was
he was a good villain. He did a good job.
I mean, but like he was almost too villain for me in this. Like I needed a little bit of a redeeming quality to him.
Oh no! If he had a redeeming quality, it would have not been believable.
To me, it was like too much. Then you had like the opposite of that, Hans, who was like the friendly old guy that was like the mentor to Gordon Bombay and obviously the kids. But
kind of at the beginning, I thought he was a villain because in his shop he had the newspaper article about Gordon missing the shot.
But think about it. He kept that for a reason. He kept that to say, hey, you know, like,
Great.
I remember.
This is just proving that everybody should be a pack rat. That's what Kyle's hearing from this.
No.
See, you might need this little piece of newspaper from 1942.
I think he even made a point about it in the movie. I can't remember exactly what it was. It's like, I don't just put championship. I put defining moments for someone's life up here. And that was a defining moment for him.
Clearly, since Gordon was in his 20s or 30s and still thought about that.
And he stopped playing hockey because
of
it. And apparently he had a lot of talent because at the end of the movie, he goes to go try out for a
minor
league, something like that.
I don't know if minor league's a thing in hockey, but not the majors.
There's a minor league for hockey, not like as well known like baseball and stuff like that. I'm surprised you knew that baseball had a huge minor league thing.
That's how, yes.
Oh, because of... And
it channels into the major league. That's how they get some of their players. I'm not saying all. Because then you'd be like, well, actually, so-and-so came straight from high school because he was so good.
So when you look at this movie, do you look at it as a traditional sports movie?
Yes.
What I mean by that is, do you remember the sports part of it more than the actual story part of it?
Yes.
See, I don't. This one, I take away more of the story part of it, whereas I would compare it to Remember the Titans.
No!
The football is less important than the rest of the story.
No.
Miracle, I remember the sports because it was a real sports moment that like was defining of a period in time. Like Miracle's the best hockey movie, not Ice Princess, as Jessica thought. We keep referencing that, and some people are watching this like,
I just got confused about the difference between ice skating and hockey.
I don't know. You had a day that day. All right, let's do favorite major character.
Gordon Bombay, of course.
Why, of course?
Because he was the villain to the hero. I like villain to hero stories. We're all kind of villains to heroes. None of us know that yet. So what's that quote that you say? You either live long enough.
You either die the hero, or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Dark Knight.
There you go. So Gordon lived long enough to be the villain and then redeem himself and become the hero.
So I think you could make a case that all of the players are major characters because the team doesn't really win without each other. So I'm going to say Goldberg.
That's unfair because that's my favorite minor character.
I don't remember my definition for a major character is that the plot changes, and arguably the plot changes without Goldberg.
I mean, that's fair, but my definition is you need more screen time than most people, and he doesn't get it. So that's why he's my favorite minor character.
So major for me is Goldberg. My favorite minor character would be Hans. Because I think you could remove him and you could put anybody as the mentor figure kind of thing.
Now that's not fair because you could put anybody as the goalie.
Okay, well maybe that's not the best point. But I think Hans, I like that he kept the memorabilia and stuff in there.
Yeah.
And it showed, it wasn't just about Gordon, it was about all the kids. Like he was invested in the kids, recreational goals and stuff like that and their sports careers and stuff. And it showed that he actually loved that business, but it was not just the business that he ran there. It was like the stories, the kids, all their memories, all that stuff. So that's why I really liked him as a supporting character. So that's our favorite major characters, minor characters. We talked about the plot and major points. We want to hear from you now. What do you think about The Mighty Ducks, the first in a trilogy of films that's out there? Obviously, people love the sequel, and one day we'll get to that. But this time we talked about just The Mighty Ducks, or D1. Because it's called D2 and D3 after that. So what do you think about D1? Keep it going in the conversation down below. Let's talk about it down there in the comments. What else should they do?
If you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel, turning on that notification bell, and liking this video if you enjoy the Mighty Ducks.
And we have some playlists for you to check out here on this channel if you want to check out some more reviews related to this, other Disney ones as well. And be sure to come visit our home channel as well, i2i, Kyle, and Jessica. Until we assemble again,
may the force be with you.
and we'll see you real soon.
Bye.